Welcome to the greatest show on planet Earth. My name is Clint Betts. This is Silicon Slopes. We are here on a Thursday. This is the last show of the week, so it's going to be incredible. Today's show is brought to you by Domopalooza, which is a great event, and it is happening right now at the Grand America. I believe last night they had Dan Reynolds, Imagine Dragons, perform. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
It's a very big deal. That guy's very in shape. Have you seen him lately? Very ripped. He only performs with the shirt off. That's how I know that. I'm not saying anything out of turn. He
Sounds
literally,
like you're out of turn.
he literally just performs with the shirt off. That's what happens.
Okay.
I can see you over there
We
about ready to
believe you.
jump all over me for that. That's just a thing that happens.
Uh-huh.
I'm not saying anything out of turn. That's the main point.
I've gotcha.
All right, and we have an incredible guest today.
Yeah, you do.
And we just went. I can't believe we're talking about Dan Reynolds shirtless, and we have Jeremy Brockbank here.
I'm not. I'm just laughing.
Jeremy,
You're going to talk about me shirtless now.
There we go.
take it off.
Scare-
dude. Let's all
scare
take it
everyone.
off. It's the last show of the. That'd be so bad. We'd lose all of our viewers. in a
Oh,
second.
they'd be all be gone. See you later.
We'll go from the greatest show ever to the worst show ever. Real quick.
Jeremy, you're from. You're the CEO of Volcanic, but you've done all sorts of crazy things, dude.
Yeah,
like,
lots.
tell us about your journey.
Oh, man, my journey. Well, let's see here. I think as far as like going way back, I got my master's to be an athletic director at Oklahoma. So worked for the Sooners, ran their tailgating, felt like I was living the dream.
That is the dream,
Yeah,
man.
it was pretty good, man. But the problem with Oklahoma is they'll disappoint you for 40 years. That's kind of like the Jazz. Just like, what on earth am I doing? But
Look at all of our sports teams here in Utah. We get disappointed.
yeah, it was pretty. Yeah, we always take second place or best second place, right? So that was really cool. I was there during Sam Bradford's time and Blake Griffin's time, and
Oh, cool.
it was I'm kind of getting old. My kids are like, "Who are they?" I'm like,
Yeah.
don't worry about it. They were good, I promise. Yeah, I did that, and then eventually got into retail. Started Ant Hill, worked for some companies around here like Goal Zero and others as they launched, and eventually we augmented the sales for 500 brands, and then we started Volcanic about 4 years ago. We've been building out dev for like 4 years, and I guess it's a bigger lift than I thought it was going to be.
It's blowing up though, man. I'm super impressed.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah. So we launch August 1st. The beta version's out right now. Got a bunch of brands and buyers on there already, but official launch is a little bit. But yeah,
That's cool.
Nice.
Let's go to the beta version of our co-host. Ask your next question.
Don't be mad just because I was laughing about your intro. Best Oklahoma team from inception to now.
Oh, I'm telling you, Kyler Murray. I mean, Baker is really
Yeah.
good. Kyler's really good. And then it dropped off a little bit with Jalen. And then it dropped off a little bit with Caleb Williams. But we got Jackson Arnold coming in this year. And I know he threw some picks in the bowl game. But the dude's going to be legit. So you guys want to buy some stock into Oklahoma, now's the year to do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, Kyler Murray for sure. He was incredible. He was like a field mouse. The guy would just I don't know if you've ever seen Kyler Murray, but he's got like little arms, like little tiny T-Rex arms. But the dude is so fast and so good. But I hear he's not panning out too well with the Cardinals, so that kind of sucks. But
Yeah.
It's probably on the Cardinals as much as him.
Yeah.
You get in those situations in the NFL, like Zach Wilson. I feel like that's as much on the Jets as it is on Zach. Like,
yeah. I'm blaming it on the Cardinals. I don't even know
I'd
why.
blame it
But
on the Cardinals. Zach Wilson might be. I don't even know why I'm comparing the two.
Yeah. But Baker Mayfield got a second chance with the Buccaneers, right?
Bacon shake. That guy was amazing. I remember like his second year in, or I don't know if maybe it was his first year after the transfer from Texas Tech, and we were playing Tennessee, and I was just yelling at the screen for the first 3 quarters, take this guy out, put back in Landry Jones or whoever we had. I don't know. I was furious. And then the 4th quarter, the guy just went insane. And I was like, okay, this guy's pretty good.
Yeah.
And then it just, I don't know what happened with Baker, but the guy was like, he's one of the guys you just would always roll with. Like, he's going to find a way to win. That I don't know if you guys remember that Texas Tech Oklahoma game with Patrick Mahomes, Baker Mayfield. There's no defense. Oklahoma played no defense for like 7 years. But I think there's like a total of like each team had like 1,000 yards. It was like a video game. It was one play touchdown, one play touchdown, one play touchdown.
It was fantastic.
Yeah, it was the good days.
Yeah.
Speaking of sports, we have a major problem going on in the sports world, and that's sports gambling.
Shocking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Who would have ever thought this would happen?
Legalizing sports gambling, while I'm in favor of it, it is to the detriment of society, which I'm also in favor of. So it's not like the end of the world for me, but man, this Otani stuff is highlighting just the perils of legalizing gambling in the United States.
Yeah, the fact that it was a rush instead of a trickle.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't shocking. People have a pretty good understanding of how human brains work, and they might be impulsive, and they might be addicted. It was like, oh, floodgates, let's start it, go big.
It's never been a threat for me because I would lose everything I had every time. Like on the tournament, I was out first game. I was like, oh, see you later. Because you know why? Is because I always always put one of the Utah teams to advance. And for 20 years, this just never worked. I'm like, well, that was just a waste.
Yeah. Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah, no more of that stuff.
We never advance.
No, we don't advance.
BYU had a great team this year. Probably one of the best teams in a decade to be able to advance. Immediately gets bounced. Utah State gets one, then gets bounced. And their coach bounces like right after.
I know. He did bounce right after.
If you're the Utah State coach, you leave quickly.
You do. You got a good gig, though.
Yeah. Yeah, he gets up there in Washington now.
Oh, yeah. But, yeah, you do bounce fast.
Yeah, which is weird. I don't know why. Logan is a
Utah
lovely
State-
place.
It is. Yeah. Get tons of good ice cream up there.
The best basketball school in the state for the last 20 years.
Oh, for sure. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
Consistent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, with this sports gambling, whether it's just the access, the ease of it, the fans heckling like, cover the spread. They wouldn't have known that 7 or 8 years ago.
No,
right?
no.
Or these prop bets. Hey, I got you making 7 free throws. Miss this next one. So you're not even heckling them
I
on
know.
their looks or ability or stupidity. You're heckling them on
Oh,
your
yeah.
prop bet.
I know.
Yeah,
And everyone's got a supercomputer in their hands.
I actually think even worse than that, though, is that's all to me fine, other than if the players and the team start doing it, right? What if we get to a point, and this article that Wesson just had on the screen was actually pretty interesting. It's like, what if we get to a point where we're watching games and it's like WWE football? Like it's kind of all predetermined so that somebody can make a ton of money, which we as human beings will definitely do.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, yeah.
That to me is the scary part where like, yeah, I hear that, like, but as long as like the player isn't like, well, okay, I'll miss it if you're going to get $10 or whatever it is, right? But if he does that, then we're in a different world. Because if it starts to become, tainting the integrity of the games that we're watching,
Oh, yeah.
sports becomes not fun at all.
Yeah.
No, but WWE is always fun. So let's just be real about
Do you
that.
still watch WWE?
No, but
I was gonna
I
say.
used to watch it in high school, and I was like, I used to watch the British Bulldog. That was my guy.
Yeah.
I mean, that guy was he was ripped. So I'd always sneak down, turn it on, watch some pre-rigged thing, and be all happy.
Was
but
he as ripped as Dan Reynolds?
Oh, I don't think anyone's as ripped as Dan Reynolds.
You
But he was
would know that.
but he was okay. Yeah. Speaking of like ripped
There
games,
he is.
if you oh yeah,
British
Man, you
Bulldog.
guys are fast. Look at that guy.
Yep.
Don't mess with him.
The Bulldog.
Speaking about like totally rigged games, if you go back and you're a Jazz fan of like from 95 to like 2008, Kobe Bryant and the Lakers, you would feel like every game was rigged because it was just like, okay, I'm sure they're going to call a foul on Kobe, and it's just like, this is like the very beginning when they started allowing like the third and the fourth step before the travel.
Mhm.
It is like, dude, come on. I know you have a bigger market, but this is like a joke. But yeah.
That's where you need the flying elbow.
Oh yeah.
Or something
I would
like-
bring it in.
All right, what do you think of that?
Remember
one,
when
Kobe?
Shaq, he just laid out Greg Ostertag?
Oh yeah, that was so cool.
He's just like, the right before the game, he just whacks the guy, puts him down, And I think that, Greg took his money and he just said, I'm done.
It's by the way, the only basketball card I have and it's signed is Greg Ostertag.
That's a good one, man.
Oh yeah, I loved Greg Ostertag. He's such a weirdo.
Dude, so one
He's
time,
always talking about UFOs and aliens, and like he was like, and like, where is he? Like he was actually really good, and we never hear from. Like he just bounced.
so one time I sold him something. I was working at one of those like supersonic car washes, and it was right when cell phones just came out, and we had these little stupid trinkets that someone put on the top of their antenna, just straight out of China, right? And I hadn't sold anything for like 5 months, and then Greg Ostertag walks in. And I'm like, and he starts looking at this thing, and he's like, okay. And then he puts it away, and I was thinking, no, you can't go. That's my only sell for the year. So I track the dude down, and I go, Greg, you just signed like a $70 million contract. I think you can afford it. And he said, you know what? That's right. And he bought it. And so that was my only sell, but it was good. It was a good one. I guilted him into it.
Yeah.
He could have bought like 10 million of those things like a day, and I'd have been fine, but he got one.
Greg Ostertag, like somebody has written a pretty in-depth article on just how awesome he is. He's just awesome, and just the way he thinks, the way things he cares about, all that stuff. He's just like crazy. But people need to go deeper on him. In fact, I got the only two things I've ever had signed are a basketball card, which I still have by Greg Ostertag, and a basketball, a Baden basketball. Like, have you ever heard of a Baden basketball? Like that brand. It's not Spalding. It's not Wilson. It's not like your standard.
Going deep.
Like somehow I got a basketball signed by Greg Ostertag, but it was a Baden. And I think I threw it out. I don't have it anymore. I was like Baden. Ooh.
So we used to have this, like, I got this basketball when I was like 14 years old, and it was just it was the dream team, right? So it was right when the dream team was coming out. I think it was like 92 or something. I don't know what it was. And I saw their autographs, and I just forged all their autographs all over the ball.
Hell yeah.
Oh man, I had fooled a lot of people. By the way, I saw that picture in your entrance about the dream team, and you got that Christian Laettner thing. I mean, that is like the biggest tragedy of all time. Like that whole drama with like kicking out Isaiah Thomas and putting in Christian Laettner. I mean, our country never could recover. I mean, it was like,
or Shaq. It was.
Oh yeah, I mean anybody, right?
Yeah.
But
well, Christian Laettner was as good as they get in college basketball.
Yeah, and I was like, well, you're giving this slot to Christian Laettner?
But Isaiah Thomas maybe.
Oh yeah.
Second, third best point guard ever.
Oh, dude, it was
like
insane.
He's right up there. And to kick him out just because Jordan didn't like him, which is
I know.
fine. Like honestly, if I were the dream team and USA basketball, I'd be like, what do you want, Michael? Anything you want.
That's right.
I don't care.
Right. Bring in Tony Kukoc. That's fine. That sounds good.
We don't care who it is.
Luke Longley, Craig Hodges.
So you think Michael Jordan was the heavy on that team? It wasn't Larry Joe Bird or...
Oh, Jordan.
Yeah,
I mean, it
Jordan.
didn't really matter because I think we won every game.
By like 70 points.
I mean, mid-game, they were taking pictures.
They were. That was hilarious. It's like Argentina's like, okay, we don't care if we're losing by 70. We're going to put on a big old smile. But yeah, Jordan was the. I mean, the actually like they've done some documentaries on the '92 Dream Team, and the most interesting game was the practice games. Where Magic led games against Jordan's team. So Jordan had a team and Magic had a team and Jordan won. So that's how you know they used the heavy. Oh, yeah.
Jordan's the heavy whenever he was on the basketball court. Let's just be honest.
Yeah.
He's the greatest ever.
Oh, yeah. Not even close. Dude's legit.
It's crazy. And particularly 92, he's in his prime. He's averaging like 35 in an era where, you could zone up. You could still be in the paint. You could push them around, all that type of stuff. We don't even average 35 down.
No.
It's crazy.
Well, there's two dudes on that team that weren't intimidated by him, Irvin Magic and Larry Joe Bird. Everybody else he kind of toyed and played with, but those two at least had his number sometimes.
Well, Larry is awesome.
Yeah, Larry is awesome. Magic is awesome. It's cool we had Stockton and Malone on there, too.
I know.
Yeah,
I know.
So awesome.
They were legit. I don't know what happened with the Jazz because they were like plenty good enough to win if it was another year. They were insane. Hornacek, I swear Hornacek never missed a three. That guy was good. And he didn't look like a basketball player either. I mean, the guy looked like an accountant. Half of our team looked like accountants.
He looked like a Mormon missionary out there.
Yeah.
Remember how our team, like, we got known for, like, doing weird things at the foul line. And Hornacek was like...
Oh, he'd always rub his face.
He'd rub his face to say hi to his family.
Oh, yeah.
And then...
Carl would talk to
Malone
himself.
would, like, talk... Like, that was our signature.
Oh, yeah.
We're just like, we just do weird shit at the foul line.
Who was the player that used to point to the hoop before shooting? Who was that? Some other team. I'm trying to remember who that was.
I can't remember who
like
that was.
Mahmoud Abdul Rauf or someone like that.
They were a good free
That's a
throw
deep
shooter,
cut,
though. I
dude.
remember
Oh yeah,
that.
we got to go deep on the
That's a
basketball
deep
stuff.
cut.
Oh yeah, that's how we do it.
That's
He had Tourette's, right? Was that the one with Tourette's?
I think so. Yep. Yep. That's right. I didn't know what Tourette's was back then. Now we know things. I mean, 20 years ago, we didn't know what depression was. We're just like, cheer up, sucker.
Hey,
But
rub
now,
some dirt on it, dude.
yeah, that's right. And now we know there's actually like legitimate reasons why people do things. But back then I was like, dude, stop shaking your head. But now I feel like the biggest jerk. I'm like, man, I feel bad.
Yeah. I remember reading a Sports Illustrated article and what he would say when he had those outbursts. And I was like, geez, this would be a fun practice, right? Because he was fearless. Like, he didn't give a damn.
No, yeah. Oh, yeah.
He could
I liked
not
how
be
Garrett
bored.
just pretended he read a Sports Illustrated article.
I read every Sports Illustrated article for many, many years.
You know what's fascinating is that magazine is really gone. It's gone, isn't it?
No, it's done.
Yeah. It'll
At least the
sell.
print version's done.
Iconic magazines are just out of here.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's
No
wild.
one reads them.
By the way, another thing that we legalized pretty quick, at least at the state level, is marijuana.
Uh-huh.
And Mitt, our boy Mitt, Utah Senator Mitt Romney, this is from a KSL.com article, says Romney and other Republican senators are raising concerns about a recommendation from the Biden administration to reschedule marijuana from a drug seen as having no accepted medical use and a high potential for abuse to one considered at low risk for dependence. What do you think about that?
Take a pass on that.
What was that?
As a occasional user of,
Okay. This is
What is going on?
is
like
the,
a game of truth or dare, or what are
is
we doing
the-
here?
is the question is, does it form a dependency? Is that what Mitt's saying versus Biden on that one?
Mitt saying that it shouldn't be rescheduled because it rescheduling it would consider it a low risk for dependence. And he said in a statement, any effort to reschedule marijuana must be based on proven facts and scientific evidence, not favored policy of a particular administration, and account for our treaty obligations. So there's some treaty thing tied to this too. But
There's got to be mountains and mountains of data and evidence by now. It's 2024.
the one thing I do hate about the legalizing of the marijuana is you go to a big city, you go to New York, you go to like these cities, and all you smell is marijuana walking around. I'm like, I don't like that.
So one time in college, I was a pretty naive dude, all right? So I had this roommate, and he's a really cool guy, but he'd always put like the second carpet underneath his carpet for his room. And, he'd always turn on this, put in the incense and everything else. And every once in a while, like he'd come out and he'd just be a little bit out of it. And like for me, I had no idea what was going on forever. So, and then all of a sudden one of my other roommates a little while ago was like, he's smoking weed in there, right? And I was like, I just thought he was like kind of dumb half of the time. So yeah, that was something.
I didn't know why you were always aloof until just barely when you admitted to doing marijuana. That's crazy. It's crazy you admitted that on air.
Uh-huh.
I think you're going to get arrested right after the show.
No, I've no dependency.
Why
Go back to defending it immediately.
Why is he still talking about it? This isn't a press conference. You
but
don't
it
have to
sure-
say anything. You're not under oath.
Sure as heck makes you have a really good night's rest every once in a while.
Oh man.
And I
Is he
happen to know
still
a lot of
defending?
people that they consider it an actual medicinal drug, and it's really helped them with all their
All
ailments.
right.
I'm lucky I don't have any ailments.
All right, we can't hear that.
I don't think you should be talking about it unless you've tried it.
Stop. Don't perjure yourself here.
Don't
This is crazy.
do legislation unless you've tried it.
Jeremy, speaking of
That's the rule.
sports and tying it into you,
Oh yeah, let's do this.
Mark Cuban, you were president of one of his companies, according to this piece of paper in front of me. What was that like?
Well, Mark's kind of a jerk, so I mean it was fine. Company did well, but he wasn't my favorite shark.
He comes across as a bit of a jerk.
No, he's a total jerk. Yeah.
Yeah?
I'm not a fan of Mark Cuban by any means.
Interesting.
But
What-
some of the sharks are cool. So Lori Grenier, super cool. Barbara Corkin, super cool. But yeah, Mark, I don't know. He's not somebody I think you're like. It's cool to be a fan of. You know, made a lot of money, owns the Mavs, but dude, I'm telling you, when the lights are out and it's just you and him, dude, he's not the nicest dude.
Yeah, you can see that. And he doesn't own the Mavs anymore. He sold them.
Oh, yeah, he did, didn't he?
Yeah, to
like
that,
last month or something.
Sheldon Adelson
Oh, yeah.
group, which is super weird.
Oh, that is
He
crazy.
spends all his time on Twitter right now, like trying to act like Elon's a bad person. That's kind of his main thing right now.
I'm a big Elon Musk fan, so I'm always on Team Elon.
Yeah. Do you have any views or opinions on being an asshole?
Was that the cold question?
What is going on? What's going on with him right now?
There's just these CEOs that have this moniker as being jerks, right? And if you want to be a big enough jerk, you can eventually move a mountain, right? Like it's not that hard to be a manager if you're going to just be a
there's
hammer.
There is. There's like, I don't know that we've dealt with a lot of totally different people on the spectrum. Like some people are super cool, super down to earth. Like we just had on our podcast, Retail War Games, which by the way is a plug, starts airing July 1st.
Wait, what's it called? Retail War Games?
Yeah, Retail War Games.
Let's make sure we talk about that.
Yeah, so we just had Sterling from JoJo's Chocolate on there. And I was like, this is genuinely like the nicest dude I've ever met. And honestly, they range a little bit, obviously, and wherever you're at, some of them are kind of jerks, but Utah actually has a lot of really good, nice brand owners. I mean, I don't think people realize how many good brands come out of Utah. There's probably like 50 CEOs that are coming on our pod between March 1st and May that airs starting in July. And just legit brand after legit brand after legit brand. Utah's kind of crazy because like for the population, it turns out some like major legit players, as far as like legit brands, legit owners, not only obviously in tech, everyone knows it does really well in tech. It's the same way in retail. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like Minnesota. You go up there and you're like, the place is like a population of 3 million, yet like half of the Fortune 500 feels like that comes out of Minnesota. You're like, what is up with you people?
Yeah.
Utah's the same way. Like it runs really deep here. And I think there's a really cool group of CEOs here that don't feel like they're competing against each other. On the retail side, I don't know the tech side quite as much, but on the retail side, and so they just, they're cool to like help each other out. So I don't know.
What makes us so good at that consumer brand, do you think? Like we really are pretty good at building consumer brands here in the state of Utah. And they've kind of done it without kind of behind the scenes. And all of a sudden we like wake up and we're like really good at this. What do you think?
I have no idea, because if you go back like 15 years ago, it was only like OGO and Skull Candy, right? There were hardly any that came out of Utah. And in the last, I'd say 10 years, there's probably about 10 or 50 national brands that have come out. Like just CDB just came out going nationwide into Target. I mean, you got like Pillow Cube and you've got Gadget Guard. You got a lot of the Stance people came out of here. You've got
Climate, Goal Zero.
Oh, there are tons.
Traeger.
Oh, it goes, it is insane.
Cotopaxi. Oh, yeah, there's so many.
It goes and goes and goes and goes. And in fact, I was talking to a Costco buyer just the other day, and we were talking about some of the brands that he manages, like Purple and some of these others. And he was saying, I asked you where the brand was from, and they're like Utah. And he's like, of course it's Utah. It's insane. Like if Utah is going to be known for something other than, tech, I mean, certainly retail is right there.
Yeah.
I think it's already right there. I don't think tech's any better than what they're doing on the consumer side. It's pretty incredible.
Just Ingredients,
yeah,
Gab.
Bucked Up is incredible.
There's
where
so
did
many
Just
Rockwell
Ingredients
watches
come from? We recently had her on at a Friday conversation. Yep. What do you know about her? Like, fascinating.
Yeah, so we had her husband on the pod yesterday. She has a really, really cool story. So she did it the right way. So like in retail, a lot of people will come to Anthill or Volcanic and they'll be like, hey, can you help augment our sales or whatever? And a lot of them might have just started their brand and they try to get into retail too early before they have an audience, and it's just not a good idea. But what they did is they just became like, Carlin became a thought leader first. So essentially she would go on Instagram, and she'd say, these are some products you should buy in the grocery store that are a little bit better and healthier than others. And eventually she started getting a following. And he was telling us yesterday, he's like, one day it just went from like 2,000 to 4,000 followers in one day. And like a month later it was 100,000. Just off of these tips. And now she's got 1 million something that are following her. And really the secondary thing for them was creating a product. The first was just be a leader in the knowledge space. And I was like, and now that we're actually helping them move into retail like we're doing with a bunch of other brands, but they did it the right way because they have the following. So like, I mean, that's a brand that is absolutely here to stay and to be reckoned with.
Yeah.
Would that be your recommendation for those who want to build a brand or get into the retail space for that? Is like first build an audience?
You have to do direct to consumer. It's a lot cheaper first. You have to, and don't rely just on Amazon because that could really topple over your business early on. But you really build it through Instagram and through Pinterest, and then eventually after 3 or 4 or 5 years, when you've got 100,000 fans or whatever it is, followers, then you can start on regional chains first and mom and pops if they make sense, and then eventually go into national 5 years down the road. But people, if they do it in reverse, I mean, they're just like, it's crazy. There's literally 500,000 brands that we've data mined in the U.S. and only about 150,000 of them go to trade shows. So that means 350,000 brands are just Amazon brands. And the ones that just want it, like they're so interested in just going straight to the stores, those ones are typically out of business within the first 3 or 4 years. It's just too expensive.
Yeah. What is it just Amazon? Like you've mentioned that a couple times. I'm interested. Like people who only sell on Amazon?
Yeah. There's a lot of brands that just sell only on Amazon. They're just Amazon only related brands. The problem with Amazon is, I mean, it's just super risky, right? So if you start getting a bad rating, or they could hide you, and basically your business is done overnight. And we're actually talking about this with Jeff Call yesterday. They started off on Instagram, and Instagram can shut you down for if you say specific keywords you didn't know what, you don't even know that they're an issue. And if they shut you down 3 times, your audience is done. So like, it was like words that we would typically use in our typical day. It wasn't like any offensive words, but they didn't even know what the words were. And so just being like, it's pretty vulnerable if you just start off and you're only like known for Instagram, or you're only known for Amazon, or, whatever it is. But eventually retail's the way to go. So like in 2019, Forbes came out with an article and said, hey, you know what? It was like 89% of all retail was done through brick and mortar stores. Only 11% was done through Amazon and everywhere else. And most people, when they think about, how big .com is, they have no clue. They think .com is bigger than brick and mortar. It's not even close. And even after COVID, it's still at 78% is done through brick and mortar stores. So brands, if they're only going to like Amazon and, they're making a good living, it's the right way to start. But if you don't get into retail later on, you're turning off 3/4 of your potential revenue. But you have to do it smart. Retail can be tricky.
What is that transition like, going from online only to then setting up? I'm thinking of, in particular, like a Warby Parker or those types of people. It was like all online only. All of a sudden, they're opening stores. Even Amazon's a good example, right? Mm-hmm. They started opening up bookstores.
Yeah.
What is that?
Well, they don't need to open up a store. They just need to be in other stores is kind of the goal.
Oh, I see. Interesting.
Yeah. So that's kind of the goal. There's certain channels that are a little easier to sell than other channels because they've got, like if I started a company tomorrow, you would not want to start a company in a channel that has big category killers, right? So like if I started in, like an office chair, I could only go to Office Depot or Staples or I'm done. And if they say no, I'm done. But if you start a product in some of these decentralized categories, like grocery or, health, beauty, wellness, I mean, there's 350 regional or national chains in the United States in grocery. So that's one that your survival chance are really good. Like if you compare that to like Australia, they only have Woolworths and Kohl's, like 2 big grocery chains. So it depends on the country you're in and the category you're in, but you should really like take that into consideration before you just launch a product. Like, well, okay, how, do they have these big category killers or are they more decentralized?
Yeah. I love talking to smart people like that actually know.
You just pretend a little bit. You guys just happen to buy it. Just kidding.
Oh yeah, cool.
Because, for example,
Yeah, man.
a little bit of light farming, gentlemanly farming,
Oh, that's me.
some tree planting.
Oh, yeah.
You've got Walmart, Target,
Mhm.
Cal Ranch. Now we're getting into the
Let's get into the weeds. Let's talk Tractor Supply and the
Tractor
stock
Supply,
IFA. These are our stores, okay?
the only good
is-
stores on planet
They
Earth.
they are amazing.
Yeah.
Like you just feel like a better human being when you walk out of one of those
for
stores.
sure. Yeah.
Oh yeah. You just like I don't know what half the stuff is. I mean, let's be honest. Like I grew up in Holiday. Like I didn't farm at all. But like that's like my personality. I don't know what the deal is. And so every day I'm trying to learn a little bit more. So I feel kind of like an idiot when I ask him things. I like forever I couldn't even figure out how to put my trailer hitch on I was like, how do I do this? Put it on the back of the car. But I don't know, man. There's something about that, which is like just getting back to nature, which is
The best.
oh, it is unbelievable. It's like if I'll tell you what cures anxiety and depression or whatever it is, just go live out in the boons, you know, and just like it's gone. Like you just walking around, and we're looking into buying right now a steer and, a couple of horses. I have no idea. I hope I don't kill them.
Yeah.
Like,
You won't.
like I was telling, look, we were talking about this just a minute, me and Garrett. Like we put in a waterfall in our house, and like this is the danger of like becoming like a suburban guy to like moving on over and becoming like a rural guy. You don't really know what you're doing, and you can unfortunately kill a lot of pets that way. So we put in some trout in there, and we have 4 dogs, and our 4 dogs are so stupid. So I was so excited. I go out there every morning and check on my fish, all these little trout. And then one day I walked in the backyard and there was dead fish all over my lawn.
Just a massacre.
Just a total massacre. Like we unfortunately I think we're getting a little bit better, but I mean, we got a lot of kids and a lot of dogs, and we're not very good with keeping things alive, even though we try.
Yeah, but those fish are now fertilizer.
They're total fertilizer. Yeah, the grass is really green now.
Yeah.
So
Circle
it's okay.
of life.
Circle of life. It works.
Mufasa. Yeah. So you are doing it right?
Oh yeah. So speaking of lawn, like mowing your lawn, as a dad, that's like as good as life gets. Like I even do that with a snowblower. Like my happiness, this shows you like how low my my standard of happiness is now as like a working adult. If I could just get like a perfect lines on, was mowing the lawn, or like I make the right perfect route on snow blowing, that makes my day. Like I'm a simple guy, but I'm telling you, that's as good as it gets. You're like, kids, you can't do that. Like it'd take you 20 years to be able to replicate that stuff. That's the good stuff right there.
That's hundreds of repetitions.
Hundreds of reps. Oh yeah.
That's the 10,000 hours Gladwell talks about right there.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Speaking of mowing lawns that are beautiful, opening day of the greatest national pastime of them all, baseball.
Yeah, it's today, huh? What's the first game?
I'm not sure who the first game is. Traditionally, the president's thrown out the first pitch a lot of times. I don't think that's happening now.
Yeah, I don't know if he could make it.
But it'll probably be
Forget.
some East Coast
Of course
game.
he can't throw it. He couldn't even get there.
Yeah, he can walk it.
Poor Howard Taft tried to throw it out once, and his arm got caught in his own peacoat, but he weighed 350 pounds.
Holy cow.
I think he still got her out. But, yeah, if you said you can be the groundskeeper, the lawnmower of Yankee Stadium's outfield, you'll have to pay us $100 a day. I would say, sign me up.
Oh, I would totally do it. Are you kidding me?
Sign
Putting
me
those
up.
chalk lines down and stuff. That is like total happiness. You know that part in Rudy where he's just like going over Notre Dame Stadium and just making it immaculate? I was like, that's my dream.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know why I went to college for anything else. What am I doing? That's pure, beauty right there. That's like artistic.
Yeah, but you tell some 18-year-old mowing lawns is sweet, Rudy's sweet. They're like, no.
18-year-olds suck. That's why.
Yeah. They do.
It's just
They won't listen.
no, they need to grow up a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. What other stories do we have to talk about today, Garrett?
I'm all out. I have a couple more questions about Volcanic.
Let's do it.
So you've got 2 folks on your platform, right? Like,
So we got brands and then the retail stores that they would sell to.
and which comes first, chicken or egg on that?
Well, you're actually like the value prop of Volcanic is that it helps both sides extremely well. So like if you're okay, so I'll give you the scenarios. So on the buyer side, a buyer's got hundreds of emails coming in per day of like brands that they don't know who they are, and they haven't been going to trade shows for a long time. So typically how buyers have really like switched on over to in purchasing and acquisition is they just go on Pinterest or Instagram, find the ones with the best reviews and the biggest followers, and they contact them. And brands haven't caught on to this. So basically you'll go to a trade show and every day is the exact same for the brand. First day they're like, well, I'm real excited. It's going to be a really good show. Second day they're like, I think all the big buyers were in the big hall. And but they'll be here today. And day three, they start getting, cut on. Maybe the buyers aren't here. Fourth day, they're just fuming. They're just like, all I've talked to are like small bloggers or kids that want candy. Mm-hmm. And they've been doing it for 15 years. And the trade shows have been getting away with it. And it's just like, guys, this is not how it's done. They're not, if you want a buyer to find you, you get better going. But the problem with the buyer side is Pinterest and Instagram aren't built for B2B information. So like the information that they have to actually want to onboard you is not available. So like, do they have certificate of insurance? Are they FDA approved? What's the margin? What's the map? What's the certificate of ingredients? All these things are not there. So what we do on the buyer side to make their job a million times easier is we just have really advanced filters. And then we're releasing an app, it's kind of like a Tinder app where a buyer, just like Netflix, right? So you're like somebody like you, like just Yellowstone. We have predictives, right? Computer learning first is obviously how it starts, but so the app is swipe left for brands you like or don't like, swipe right for the brands you do. Eventually, it's going to learn your history and buyers like you, and then you save them to Pinterest type boards. You can share those boards with other category managers. You can have different chats. It does matching for you really well. So that's the buyer side. Like it helps them drastically instead of vetting everybody individually and being like, oh, I don't know what's going on. And on the brand side, you're not spending $50,000 a trade show to set up a booth and hope somebody walks by it. You have access. So to an incredible amount of buyers. The company that we came out of is Anthill Retail. So, and I try to be like cautious on like what I claim because you never know, right? But we think we have the largest retail buyer database in the United States.
Oh wow!
So because we've helped build 500 brands, we have 441,000 active buyers in there. Like in 2019 alone, we spoke to over 33,000 of them. And so because of that, we can leverage that into a directory and say, so you can actually go in if you're a brand and you can click one of the channels that you're in and you can see all the potential stores that would be like if you're selling pet products, see all the pet stores right there. And if you're a retail store, you can do the same thing. You see all the brands per category all at once, and you could filter them through really, really quickly. So there's a lot to it. I mean, it gets pretty deep with what we've been building out for Volcanic the last 4 years, but yeah, that's kind of the main purpose, right? To even the playing field and everything else. And the one thing that's really cool is like right now in retail, buyers have all the power. They could be jerks to the brands all they want. They could charge back hundreds of thousands of dollars whenever they want. And right now we're leveling the playing field. So we're saying, okay, we're just going to do two-way reviews. Are you a crappy buyer? Well, we're going to find out because the brands are going to be able to rate you now.
Yeah.
Do you just request samples and never do anything? Do you never refer anybody to anything? Whatever the deal is, it's all the information. It becomes metadata. And then this is where it gets powerful with Volcanic. So it starts off as like the matching service, right? So next year we're releasing EDI so they can start, making orders within each other, which is really cool. But then we can become predictive and we can start seeing metadata. So we can go in and we can see the retailer, we can see the conversations or swipe histories, and we can become predictive on what products they should be onboarding. Because like right now, if you're a retail store, you might go on Instagram and there's a brand that's doing really well. Like we're talking about like Stanley Cups or something, right? Well, yeah, everyone wants to onboard Stanley Cups right now because it's a big old trend. But if they were on Volcanic, they would have seen that trend a year ago and started onboarding them before they started taking off. So it's just smarter way to do business. Like retail is the oldest industry in the world, and it's also the most antiquated and just broken system. So like every channel, 117 of them in the U.S., they're all in their own silos, and none of them talk to each other. They all have their own acronyms, and what we're doing is we're standardizing the entire thing.
Yeah. Amazing. So if this works out, which it sounds like it will, you can probably get some more trout.
Yeah, there's gonna be so many trout in that pond. They're just gonna be like layered up. There's gonna be like 70 trout on top of each other.
That's cool.
I'm gonna keep catching the same ones over and over every morning.
And will this be open to visitors?
But yeah, man, come on over, fish it up.
He's like, do we need a fishing license?
Yeah, no
What's
fishing
going on
license. Just the dogs. Watch
So
out for them.
the dogs won't be sicked on me if I'm out there.
Oh, dogs are so stupid. I don't even. I'll be lucky if I still have them.
So people still use Pinterest?
Oh yeah, I mean,
Really?
oh yeah, women use it all the time for sure. It's a really good way to sell products. Instagram and Pinterest. Like Instagram, I was late to the game on Instagram, but because of its like computer learning, I spend so much stupid money on things that were like I'll see something, I'll be like, oh my gosh, that's exactly the type of shirt I would wear. Because it makes it so easy to purchase because it's just right there underneath the product that you're like, and you're like, purchase done. And honestly, it's not good for your finances if you have Instagram. You're like, oh man, honey, I've got some bad news.
That's awesome. Yeah, Instagram has done a really good job at being a platform for buying stuff, like a marketplace.
Oh yeah, it's night and day better than Facebook. Like Facebook, you can sink a ton of money in ads on Facebook and get no results. Instagram, it's owned by the same company. It's a different story.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good one.
That's another one I'm surprised people use is Facebook. But I haven't heard of Pinterest for a very long time.
Oh, it's
Interesting.
Man, Pinterest
I'm out
is cool.
of it.
So Pinterest is interesting because, like, as a guy, I don't want to admit it, but it's like a really, really cool platform. Like you're like my wife, she's really into like interior designing and wants to flip houses and stuff. So she's got all these boards, and I don't know. I'm telling you, it's definitely something that I'll just say this: if I was a girl, I'd be on that all day long. And I'm almost on the product. I mean, on the platform too much. I think it's a really cool platform.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's very cool. I think we've had the founder out to Summit one of these years.
Well, he's one of the few that didn't show up.
Oh, he didn't show up. Oh, he agreed to it. He didn't. Screw him. Screw Pinterest.
I hate
dude.
Pinterest. What a joke.
It was like an 11th hour one cancellation too.
Oh, bummer.
That's awesome.
I think that's probably when you were shooting Canon, the t-shirt Canon. We're like, hey, the Pinterest out. And he's like, oh, Clint's like, I'll go shoot some t-shirts out of this Canon.
Some like t-shirts that have like the Silicon Slopes logo on it. Everyone's like, what am I going to do with this? I'm not wearing it.
They're shooting them out.
Dude,
there.
I would wear
People
it.
are batting them away, throwing them back.
They start throwing them back. They're like, no, bring the Pinterest guy out. This is stupid.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
I want to be one of those guys that controls the gun. So if you start doing that, bring me down this next conference.
Man, we've only done it once, but it felt good.
Do you ever shoot it at somebody that's like really close just to see what would happen? You're just like, I know this goes 40 rows back, but I'm going straight for this guy right here.
Right in the teeth.
The craziest thing I've ever had with that, a t-shirt shooter, is we actually did an event here in Provo at the Eccles Center.
Yeah.
And the Eccles Center is pretty small, this little Eccles theater thing. And we had John Curtis, who was, I believe, about to run for Congress or something. Anyway, he was the mayor of Provo at the time.
Yep.
He had one of these things. I don't even know what he was shooting out. Probably socks, because that's always like his main thing. And he shot it, and he drilled someone so hard. I was like legitimately like nervous. I was like, so is this the end of both of our careers? What do we do?
People are like picking up kids and shielding
Do we
themselves
turn
from the gun.
ourselves in right now? Oh, you need to stop pumping that thing because you can pump them. Or at least the
Oh,
one that
no
he had.
way.
The one that he had. I'm like, you got to like, easy, dude. Easy.
Someone's just loading it up.
It just gets plowed
It's
by
like
a
a powered
pair of
super
socks.
soaker. Oh, dude.
Well, with this Canon, we were walking to JB's, and Clint's like, I think I'm going to call Cornerstone and see if they have any Canons that I can shoot T-shirts out of. And I just disregarded it, but it was fortuitous. But that's what was on his mind at 7 a.m.
Oh, dude.
before
It's on your mind all the time, those Canon things.
Honestly, it's always on my mind.
Oh, yeah. Those things are incredible.
It's like, okay.
It's kind of the only thing
Sounds
I
good.
think about.
Oh, yeah. It should be.
The Jazz Bear has that cool like machine gun one where it's like loaded and he can just shoot a bunch. By the way, Jazz games, I gotta tell you, step up your t-shirt game. It's not worth grabbing those.
Oh yeah,
It's crazy. Those t-shirts are like extra large. They're
yeah,
like
the ones that never sold.
they don't even have like Jazz logo on it. It's just like some sponsor.
You're like, I'm just gonna wear this. What the
Pretend
heck?
Washaki.
Oh, what? What is this?
It's Energy Solutions from 15 years ago.
What's next for you guys?
Oh, we're launching. So we'll launch August 1st in beta. So on Retail War Games podcast, we have the top 50 CEOs and, brand CEOs and retailer CEOs on there. Like everyone that you could imagine is super cool. They've been really helpful to come on. And that's going to start releasing right before the pod. We'll just start releasing them one a week. But it's very insightful because you get to know like these big brand founders and CEOs and retailer founder and CEOs and learn about their life. And then we actually dig into retail, the strategies behind what's working for them, what's not. So it's like extremely helpful if not only just for, entrepreneurs, but for people that are specifically in the industry. So we'll start releasing that. We'll do season 2 in Arizona. So basically all their big brands and CEOs, and retail store CEOs, we'll start shooting that for the next year. We'll release the platform August 1st on the MVP side, and then we'll start releasing more features after that. But I'm pretty optimistic about it. So we haven't even started yet. We already have 6,000 brands and we have 900 buyers from places like Whole Foods and Walmart and Nordstrom's and Big Five that already just pre-started getting on, which is really cool. But it has a big opportunity. One thing that's kind of crazy is like in the marketplace world on the tech side, there's not a lot of places that exist where there's not a marketplace that's actually created. So, and this will blow your mind. So in retail, so you have a $28 trillion TAM, largest in the world, of people that spend money through retail channels. Like if you're Costco or Nike or Shopify or whatever it is, what people don't realize is there's another $28 trillion TAM on the back end of retail. It's how retail stores source brands, and that is completely untouched. And you just think, man, what is going on? We seriously never thought about this. And so, the sky is the limit. We're pretty country agnostic. So we have retailers registering from, all, different countries all over the world and brands from all over the world. So we're actually shrinking it. So the world. So basically if you're a brand from Australia and you want to get into the US or you want to get into wherever, it's a super easy way to do it. Instead of spending $1 million and hiring a sales firm and bringing them to the United States and hoping that the buyers want the product and hoping then consumers want it. It's just too risky. But for us, we're like, hey, why don't you just pay our SaaS fee for, a few months and just go straight to the buyers, and then you can prove the concept immediately. Yeah. So there's a lot going on.
This is incredible.
It's pretty insane.
Have you raised any money?
Yeah. So we're actually doing a raise right now. We're raising $5 million. We're trying to keep it kind of low, but we've got some really strong, prominent investors. But we'll raise the rest of the 5 like we're doing right now. And hopefully when the SaaS amount comes on, when it turns on, then we'll be in good shape. We've got a good valuation right now at $29.8 million pre-rev. But honestly, you never know, right? I could make all the predictions in the world and we totally screw it up. I don't know. But it could be a pretty massive business.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Are you sure that market's big enough? It's only $28 trillion.
Yeah, I'm wondering if we could expand that, add some trout into it. 28.1 trillion.
I'll send you over some ideas that might
dude,
get that a little
do it.
bigger.
Let's pump that sucker up.
Good for you guys. That's amazing.
Nice, man. Thank you.
I wish I had 2 nickels to rub together because I'd love to slide some money over and be a part of that. But
hey, no problem. No
one
problem.
day.
Oh, yeah.
Why don't you give us another press conference on marijuana before we wrap up here?
Don't knock it unless you've tried it.
Hey, but how do people find your podcast?
So Retail War Games, right now you'll find it on Apple, just your normal podcast come July 1st. The first 50 are being filmed actually at the Silicon Slopes, the Lehigh spot right now. So we're about a fourth through that, and then we'll just start releasing them. And then there'll be a link from our Volcanic. So if you go to info.volcanicretail.io, you'll see our landing marketing page, and it takes you to the beta platform of Volcanic right now.
That's cool.
And then we'll throw up the podcast link up there too. But yeah, it's going to be a good listen.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll start pushing it out once it goes
You
live.
guys rock.
Yeah.
All right.
Congrats on everything, dude.
Oh, you guys are super cool for having me here.
Of course. So,
Thank
hey,
you.
we don't have a show on Monday because it's Easter Monday.
Observed.
What does that mean?
That's when you observe Easter, according to the Google Calendar.
So, Easter Monday. I didn't know Easter Monday was a thing until a week ago. But we're not having a show because we're observing
Yes,
We're observing.
Easter
right,
on a Monday.
correct.
So there's that. And then on Tuesday, we had the CEO of Intermountain HPP, Thomas Kreitlow. Did I say that right?
I believe so.
All right. Looking forward to talking to Thomas. Everybody have a great weekend. See you later.
Thanks.